Hello, good morning children. Today in this video I am going to explain class 8 history 5th chapter when people rebel 1857 and after. Okay, uh, previous 4 chapters dealt with how the Britishers arrived to India, what purpose they came and how they converted from trade to territory, afterwards ruling the countryside, and then tribals, Dikus, and that means overall the country, different categories people, how they suffered with the Britishers rule, with the colonial rule, and every situation, every condition, people's condition, you have learned. Now this is the time of rebellion. Okay, so in this chapter, how people revolted against the Britishers, what situations led to this rebellion, you are going to learn in this video. Okay, let's go to the lesson when people rebel 1857 and after. Policies and the people. In the previous chapters, you looked at the policies of the East India Company and the effect they had on different people. Kings, queens, peasants, landlords, tribals, soldiers were all affected in different ways. You have also seen how people resist policies and actions that harm their interests or go against their sentiments. In the fourth chapter also, tribals, Dikus and the vision of a golden age also you have learnt. And ruling the countryside also there, how the kings, different peasants, cultivators, and then everything, soldiers, how they have suffered with the policies of the British, common people and the artisans, how they suffered, everything you have learned. Now let's see. Nawabs lose their power. Nawabs lose their power. Okay, let's see this. Since the mid-18th century, Nawabs and Rajas had seen their power erode. They had gradually lost their authority and honor. So, since 18th century, as the Britishers brought those policies that they have on Jamindars and Subedars, they have local chiefs also, they have some rights. Earlier, they exercised power on those lands. But after the British rule, what they have said? They said they will be the Jamindars, but they have to work for the British government. And they have to collect revenue and to pay to the government. Like that they have said. So, in this way, these Nawabs also lose their power. Authority and honor also they have lost. Residents had been stationed in many courts. The freedom of the rulers reduced. Their armed forces disbanded and their revenues and territories taken away by stages. So, whatever earlier these Nawabs and whatever they have the army force, that means the army disbanded. Disbanded means not functioned. They have the Britishers, they cancelled. And then freedom of the rulers reduced. I said now they will be there, but they have to collect revenue and pay to the British government. Like that, in many ways they have lost the power. Many ruling families tried to negotiate with the company to protect their interests. Negotiate means against. They are not at all willing to do the and follow the policies of the British government. For example, Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi wanted the company to recognize her adopted son as the heir to the kingdom after the death of her husband. Here, one famous person you have to name. She is Rani Lakshmi Bai. Rani Lakshmi Bai. Who was she? She was the queen of Jhansi. So, what she urged to the British government, she asked them to recognize her adopted son. Recognize her adopted son as the heir to her kingdom. Okay, after her husband's death. Okay, here as the this Jhansi, Queen Lakshmi Bai, as she don't have heirs, that means sons, what she has done, she has adopted a son. She and her husband adopted a son. But here on the basis of doctrine of lapse, what the Britishers they have done, as her husband died, King Gangadhara, when he died, the company, the East India Company wanted to annex this kingdom. Which kingdom? Jhansi kingdom. So she asked the Britishers to recognize her adopted son as their heir, that means prince, to after her husband's death. But what the Britishers done? Let's see. Nana Saheb, the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao too, pleaded that he be given his father's pension when the latter died. So here also she asked, and at the same time Nana Saheb, here Nana Saheb was the adopted son. He also adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao too. Peshwa Bajirao too. So after his death, what he asked? After his death, he asked them to give pension to him as he was the heir of that kingdom. Okay, so Nana Saheb also here asked the Britishers after his father's death. Why? Because this Nana Saheb is the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao. So he asked them to give pension later his death, after his death. However, the company, confident of its superiority and military powers, turned down these pleas. But these two pleas, whatever the Lakshmi Bai's plead and here Nana Saheb's pleas, but they did not hear. Why? Because the Britishers, they have the confidence on their military power and their superiority. That's why they unheard of these two pleas. They were not at all ready to accept these requests. Awadh was one of the last territories to be annexed. In 1801, a subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh, and in 1856, it was taken over. Okay, subsidiary of alliance means if they are unable to pay rent, tax means their kingdom will be taken away. Their kingdom will be taken away. So, on the basis of subsidiary alliance, which kingdom they have annexed? Awadh. They have annexed Awadh. Awadh kingdom on the basis of subsidiary alliance. Here, these policies you have to keep in mind, children. Subsidiary of alliance means if they are unable to pay revenue, then a part or whole part of the kingdom will be taken. This is subsidiary alliance. Here, the doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse means here if they don't have son, okay, a boy as son, then the kingdom will be taken away. That is doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of no son means, okay, no boy. Then that is doctrine of lapse, and here this is subsidiary alliance. That means here this Jhansi kingdom was taken away on the basis of doctrine of lapse, and here this Awadh was taken away by on the basis of subsidiary alliance. Governor General Dalhousie declared that the territory was being misgoverned and British rule was needed to ensure proper administration. Here, the person who was the Governor General by the time, he was Dalhousie. What he said? Not only on the basis of subsidiary alliance, but he said that the Nawab was unable to rule that kingdom. Misgovernment was functioning there. Misgovernment. That's why it is needed there Britishers rule. Okay. Who was that Governor General? Governor General Dalhousie. Dalhousie. What he said the reason? Misgovernment. And the king was unable to rule the country properly. Misgovernment was taken and the rule of British needed. Rule of British needed. This was the reason what the Governor General said. Okay. The territory was being misgoverned and British rule was needed to ensure proper administration. The company even began to plan how to bring the Mughal dynasty to an end. So, and at last, after annexing all these kingdoms, what was the Britishers' plan, the company's plan to bring the Mughal dynasty, to an end, to complete, to close the Mughal dynasty. The name of the Mughal king was removed from the coins minted by the company. So, for that purpose, what they have done, they have removed. See, in those times, they have minted coins on the Mughal kings, Mughal king or emperor's name. But here, what the Britishers they have done, they removed the name of the king from the coins. Okay. There was a habit, because if which king was ruling by the time, on the name of the king they will mint coins. So to come and to close the Mughal dynasty, what the Britishers they have done, they removed the name of the king from the coins. In 1849, Governor General Dalhousie announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Jafar, the family of the king would be shifted out of the Red Fort and given another place in Delhi to reside in. So, by the time, who was the Mughal emperor? Bahadur Shah Jafar. Bahadur Shah Jafar. And he will be sent out from Red Fort. Here, Red Fort was their official house, their house, residence of a Mughal emperor. Residence of Mughal emperor. Okay, so Bahadur Shah Jafar will be sent out from Red Fort and he will be given a new place to reside in it. See, from one house they are going to remove and they are going to give a new place. In 1856, Governor General Canning decided that Bahadur Shah Jafar would be the last Mughal king, and after his death, none of his descendants would be recognized as kings. They would just be called princes. So, here, Dalhousie, he sent Bahadur Shah Jafar, the last Mughal emperor, from Red Fort out, making him no home from his own residence. He was sent away. But the next general, that who was he? He was Canning, Lord Canning. What he has done? He declared that this Bahadur Shah Jafar would be the last king. He will be the last king, and his descendants, that means his sons no longer will be called as kings. No longer will be called as kings, and they will just called as princes, and they don't have the authority. They won't be called as kings and they won't exercise power. Like that, who has done this? Lord Canning. Next Governor General, Lord Canning done this. The peasants and the Sipais. So, see, the Governor Generals, what they have done with our kings. The peasants and the Sipais. So, by the time the Nawabs, situation is only like this, means what about the peasants and the Sipais? The peasants and the Sipais. Okay, let's see their condition. In the countryside, peasants and jamindars resented the high taxes and the rigid methods of revenue collection. So, in the countryside, what the British government they have done, it collected more taxes, and the collecting methods also very harsh. Here, what they have asked, rigid methods. Rigid method means harsh methods. Simply looting the peasants. Like that, they have done. They have collected the revenue from the peasants. Many failed to pay back their loans to the money lenders, and gradually lost the lands they had tilled for generations. So, in this way, many of the peasants, they lost their land. They lost their lands, what they cultivated for generations. From long back they have cultivated for generations, from generations. Okay. So many peasants, they were unable to pay land revenue. That's why they have lost their land which they cultivated for generations. The Indian Sipais in the employ of the company also had reasons for discontent. So this is the condition of peasants. Now the situation of the Sipais. They also, in the employ, the company also had reasons for discontent, disbelief. They were unhappy about their pay, allowances and conditions of services. Here Sipais also, they were unhappy about their salary, about their pay, allowances and conditions. Who were unhappy on these basis? The Sipais. The Sipais were unhappy. About what? About their pay, about their allowances and about their condition services. Some of the new rules, moreover, violated their religious sensibilities and beliefs. Some rules, they have violated their religious beliefs also. On the basis of religion also, this British government have harassed them. Did you know that in those days, many people in the country believed that if they crossed the sea, they would lose their religion and caste. So, by that time, there was a belief that if anybody crossed the sea, then they would lose their religion. This was the belief in the olden days. So, when in 1824, the Sipais were told to go to Burma by the sea route to fight for the company. So, in 1824, they were asked, the Sipais were asked to go to Burma. Okay. They were asked to go to Burma to fight on the behalf of company. They refused to follow the order, though they agreed to go by the land route. Okay, so when in 1824 the Sipais were asked to go to Burma, what they have done? They said, we don't go by sea route. They refused and they said, we will go by land route. Okay, here they said they will go by land route but not by sea route. To fight for Burma, they are ready, but they accepted that they will go by land route but not by sea route. Who accepted? The soldiers. Sepoys accepted. They were severely punished, and since the issue did not die down. So, though they have accepted to go by the land route, but as they disobeyed to go by the sea route, what the Britishers said, they punished severely these Sepoys, and the issue did not die. That means there only the issue did not completed. In 1856, the company passed a new law which stated that every new person who took up employment in the company's army had to agree to serve overseas if required. So, they haven't forgot this issue. But in 1856, what they brought a new policy, if any person is appointing it newly into the military force, he has to go to overseas also. They have to go overseas also if company required, if company asked. That means not only traveling, from the seas also if you have to do duty means you have to accept. This is the condition what the colonial government kept on the sepoys. Sepoys also reacted to what was happening in the countryside. Many of them were peasants and had families living in the villages. So, the anger of the peasants quickly spread among the sepoys. And one more thing, all these sepoys, they came from the peasants' background only. So, already one side, here peasants, their lands were taken away. So, from those families only these sepoys came, and the situations in the sepoy, in the army also situations were like this. So, both together, both situations, all these situations harassed these all the people, and they were in very angry, and it spread among the sepoys very quickly. So, what happened next? How? What these sepoys done? How they have gone against the Britishers, you will learn in the next video. I hope till now you understood, children. Thank you. Have a nice day.